All right, it's Stuck in the Morning, the only morning show that rocks in Indianapolis. And our guest here on the phone with us is the field correspondent for the Oprah Winfrey Show, a contributor to ABC's Nightline and National Geographic Explorer. She's been on the show a couple of times back in the day, and it's great to have you back on. Lisa Ling, good morning. How are you?
Don, how are you?
I am so great. Now, I remember the first time that you and I talked, you had just become the co-anchor of ABC's The View.
Yes. Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. And what we loved about you most of all was we were coming out of a Metallica song at the time, live right into the interview. And when we turned the phone on and went to Lisa Ling, you said, "I love Metallica," and the room goes, "Yeah!"
Yeah, I am such a rocker, I have to say.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, when's the last concert? What was the last concert you went to? What was it and all that?
As a matter of fact, it was just a couple of days ago. I was at South by Southwest in Austin.
Awesome. Oh, wow. Going to one of the rock capitals of the world. That's fun.
It was so much fun. In fact, I'm going to try and convince the folks that own to have a party there next year because it's just so much fun and just thousands of people there just to listen to music. It was awesome.
Well, that's just great. You know, we love talking to like-minded people here, and we're here to talk to you today about your newest project. We can still call your show pretty new, right? How long's it been on the air?
It's only tonight's the 6th episode, so yeah, it's very new.
It's very interesting, very compelling. Now, this is a rock station, and so there's a lot of guys listening, a lot of beer-drinking dudes, and so when you start saying, check this out on the Oprah Winfrey Network, people are like, well, I don't know. But I give you Oprah. She gets the guests and slings the power, that's for sure. But the show is Our America with Lisa Ling. It's every Tuesday night on the Oprah Winfrey Network, and a lot of these guys out here listening, they don't know what the Oprah Winfrey Network is. Just go check it out because you're in harm's way a little bit with this show. You got drug dealers and sex nuts and everything, huh?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, not a day goes by when I don't get stopped by a ton of men who watch the show, and I think it's the one show on the Oprah Network that men and women both are really digging. For example, we did an hour on faith healers, a guy who goes around the country healing people of their ailments, and we followed a man who'd been wheelchair bound for 15 years who goes and feels he's called by God to have this faith healer's hands laid on him. We explored the very controversial issue of whether you can be gay and Christian at the same time.
That's a hot one around here.
Yeah, there was a lot of buzz around that. We went into a colony in the middle of the woods of Florida where hundreds of sex offenders live. And tonight's episode is about this community in central Ohio that has been ravaged by heroin. And we spent time with an entire family, a mother, father, and 3 kids who are all addicted, as well as a young pregnant woman. And, I mean, it's just a crazy show, and I went back a total of about 5 times over the course of 3 years, and followed these people's journey. And I'll tell you that if you watch this, there are so many highs and lows, and in many ways you'll feel like you're on something because that's the kind of experience that these heroin addicts have. I mean, they go from these incredible highs as soon as they hit up to these unimaginable lows when their body goes into the state of detox, when they need to shoot up right away. And even if they are successful at getting clean one day, they've just lost so much in their lives that building it back up again is yet another hurdle. But there are some moments of light and hope in the show. So every single episode is like a roller coaster of emotions.
So you got to spend quite a bit of time with a family, or probably many people that are using intravenous drugs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's people. It gets romanticized with rock music and musicians and all that, but drug use is drug use. But when you get to the intravenous level, I've been around it a little bit, and it's disgusting. There's not much else you can say about it. It's a filthy habit. There's needles, syringes, tubes. I mean, it's just a bad scene all the way around. There's nothing romantic about it.
Oh, Don, when I visited a couple of the prisons in these regions, you go in and you see people with the most horrendous track marks all over their arms. And like pock marks all over their face, and it's so pervasive. And now with these depressed economies, the problem's getting worse because there are fewer and fewer resources to help combat it.
That's right. That's right. A lot of the homeless people on the streets these days, that's where they came from. Some of the mental institutions here in the Indianapolis area were emptied out in the 80s, and many of those people were just flat out drug addicts. And I hate to say it that way because it sounds derogatory, but that's what they are. They were addicted to drugs, and it's just an unfortunate scene. They need a little mental health. It is a bit of a disease. I'm not sure if it's a disease or not, but they definitely need help. The streets is not the place to go and try and get off of drugs for sure. Our America with Lisa Ling every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. on the Oprah Winfrey Network. And I was just kind of running down what you're looking at here in your show. You got religious movements and sex offenders and drug addicts and online brides. I mean, it's very compelling work, but it also at the same time kind of sounds like a weekend at Charlie Sheen's, doesn't it? It's just an odd deal.
It does. It actually does. Charlie Sheen's might be a little bit more exciting than the Offender episode, but maybe not.
I don't know. If we're hanging out with you, we might take in a Metallica concert, if that's okay.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that what a mess that is. But
yeah, so
speaking of drug offenders, I mean, we all are kind of watching his demise, and in a way, like with this heroin show, you're watching people who are completely disintegrating before your eyes, and how you say we're not really complicit in it, I don't know.
It's tough because there's only so much a person can do, and especially if the people you're dealing with, number one, don't want it, don't want the help, or number two, have the resources to say, look, I'm going to do whatever I want. When you've hit rock bottom and you're living in your car, you start looking for a little more help. But when you go upstairs in a mansion and go to sleep and then call the guy the next morning when you're starting to feel the twinge, that can go on for a long time. It can go on as long as your bank account can.
Exactly. And that's it's kind of sad. I mean, you can't stop watching it because he's such a train wreck, but... Right. It's pretty tragic.
I find myself thinking maybe he's probably using drugs and that will aggravate an underlying problem that might be manic depression or something. I find that I think he's sober during these interviews and he just might be, going manic at times.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that the delayed effect is really manifesting itself.
Yeah.
And part of it now, I think, is really a publicity stunt. I mean, he's on the road, and he's already sold out by...
He's selling out shows all over the place. It's unbelievable. There's a contest going on now. Sorry to talk about Charlie Sheen while we're talking to Lisa Ling about your show, Our America, but now you can get in a contest to meet Charlie backstage, and I'm thinking, you know what? Then you'll both be on the road to recovery, I hope. Both of you be in rehab.
Well, if you watch our heroin show, you'll see what... Charlie Sheen's life could be like with no money.
That's the key. That's the key right there. The rock star lifestyle with a big bank account. Hey, that looks great, but man, in reality, it's not great. It's usually the streets, and everybody you know is hurt, and you're devastating your life and your children. Our America with Lisa Ling, Tuesday night, 10 p.m. on the Oprah Winfrey Network. I was kind of interested to talk to you about your book, by the way. You're an author a couple of times over, and your I guess this is your newest book, One Sister's Captivity in North America and the Other's Fight to Bring Her Home. That was involving you and your sister Laura when she was in North Korea, and she was a reporter, right?
Yes.
That was something else. That took the world like Charlie Sheen for about 2 weeks. Bill Clinton over there, and that looked bad for a minute.
It did, just because North Korea is the most unpredictable country on earth. And, we're so lucky that we got her back, and I'm proud of her because these days it's harder and harder to find real substantive journalism. And sometimes it requires risk in order to tell people's stories. We as consumers, we all will read or watch things voraciously without understanding how we got these stories or how people got these stories.
Oh, you see, out of Iraq when the war first started, some of the journalists were being captured, beheaded. I mean, it's just horrible. I mean, North Korea, they scare me a little more than some of the fundamentalists because they won't go over there and cut your head off. They'll go, no, we'll just work you for 30 years. How's that sound?
Yeah, and it's literally a black hole out there in the universe because there's so little that's known about it.
Now, see, when you look at it like that, don't you think it's just okay to go over and start taking the place over? Look, we're America, we're the police, we're coming in here, we're in charge now. How's that sound?
Well, here's the thing. We wouldn't want to take it over because the economy is so depressed.
Yeah.
Would kill our economy. That's why South Korea doesn't want to take it over either.
Nobody wants anything to do with it, that's for sure. So the book's online in stores everywhere right now, huh?
It is.
Oh, very good. We're talking to Lisa Ling, and I know I got to let you go. You got other stuff going on, but a really cool show. I've watched a couple of episodes. Going to tape some more. You're talking about religious movements and sex offenders and drug addicts and all kinds of crazy stuff. Lisa Ling's on the phone with us. Our America with Lisa Ling, Tuesdays, 10 p.m. on the Oprah Winfrey Network. Guys, I know you may not know where that is, but take a day and go find it. It's on cable somewhere. We have many cable providers in central Indiana, so I'm not even going to attempt to tell you what channel it's on, but it's out there.
Thanks so much.
Hey, Lisa, it was great talking to you again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Don. Take care.
You too. Be careful.